Words About Books. It's a podcast you inadvertently clicked on, and now you're listening to it. You can't X out of it. I'm Nate, joined as always by my co-host Ben, who's going to tell us about some shit today. How's it going, Ben?
It's going pretty well. So today, I have a book I read that Nate has not read called Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably should have asked him how to pronounce it.
Story of how Starbucks invented the Frappuccino and changed the game, right?
You know, you're not far off.
Oh, okay.
Except it's fantasy Starbucks in a medieval setting.
Okay.
First off, about the author. I know relatively little about the author. I probably should have...
I didn't even know we were doing that. I didn't do it last time.
We do that from time to time. So it's more how I came to this book, because this is a fairly new book. I think it came out in February.
Aren't you fancy?
Yeah, I actually, I think I pre-ordered this.
You went to your old brick and mortar bookstore, you thumbed through the fantasy section, you found the book.
No, I did not say that.
Oh.
I actually heard about this book through John Bierce's Twitter.
I know that guy.
Yes, friend of the show and victim of Nate's extortion. John, friend of the show and victim of extortion. John Bierce was actually, I think, a beta reader for this. He's thanked in the beginning, and he retweeted something from Travis Baldree saying that he had just gotten the cover art for Legends and Lattes. And based on the cover art alone, I pretty much ordered this book. So this is kind of a judging books by their cover as well, because it seemed right up my alley. The cover art, I encourage you to look it up if you're just sitting there on your computer or on your phone doing nothing but listening to our podcast with rapt attention, as I know all of you do. I encourage you to look up a picture of the cover because it's a really solid illustration. It is an orc and what I thought was a tiefling, but is actually a succubus.
Oh my god.
And they are working in a coffee shop. The orc is...
So you go for the coffee and you stay for the succubus.
That's offensive, and you should apologize.
I will not, sir.
So this promises to be a novel of high fantasy and low stakes. And indeed, it is both of those things.
Okay.
I kind of don't know how to go about doing the summary because it's a strange book for me to have read.
Well, you've had several weeks to figure out how to do it, so I hope you have more than that.
I have a little bit, but I need to talk to you about what the book is.
Okay.
You know, you have criticized me many, many times for reading only horrible, depressing, human misery stories.
Yeah, that seems to be like your MO. You love that stuff. You're like, how can I feel joy if other people aren't also feeling sorrow?
Well, buckle up, Nate, because this is the exact opposite of that.
I don't believe you. You're gonna out of nowhere, you're gonna like hit me with like, and then they died horribly, and they left a child motherless, and that child then got crushed to death in a wine press or something.
No.
Or a coffee press.
So I'm gonna read you the back of the book.
Okay.
I think this is the easiest way to kick off our conversation. High fantasy with a double shot of self-reinvention. Worn out after decades of packing steel and raising hell, Viv, the orc barbarian, cashes out of the warrior's life with one final score. A forgotten legend, a fabled artifact, and an unreasonable amount of hope lead her to the streets of Thune, where she plans to open the first coffee shop the city has ever seen. However, her dreams of a fresh start, pulling shots instead of swinging swords, are hardly a sure bet. Old frenemies and Thune's shady underbelly may upset her plans. To finally build something that will last, Viv will need some new partners and a different kind of resolve. A hot cup of fantasy slice of life with a dollop of romantic froth.
That's not where I thought that was going when you said a hot, but okay.
Get your mind out of your gutter. Okay?
I will do no such thing.
So
when you bring the succubus into the room, you know what's going to happen, Ben.
So that's actually like a thing in the book, is that the succubus is really sick of being defined by what she is. And really hates people that just make assumptions about her.
Oh, yeah.
And
so I'm the target audience.
Yeah, so the succubus is actually very, like, reserved, and she wears, like, baggy sweaters. She really just kind of wants, like, honest work, and she wants to be defined by sort of, like, what she can do rather than just what she is. And you're the problem, is kind of what I'm trying to say here. Like, there's a whole lesson in the book that you desperately need.
I will make a donation to the succubus fund.
No. You need to make
some sort of charity.
Is there some way I could throw money at my problems?
It's called sublimation, and whenever you start to feel bad about how horrible you are, instead of changing, you're like, how about I alleviate my guilt?
So, the reason I say I'm having a hard time summarizing the book is because I could go through the summary of the book, but there is actually very little conflict.
Well, yeah, you said low stakes. I mean,
the stakes are essentially, will Viv's coffee shop succeed or fail as a business? I really, no one's life is at stake. The fate of the world is certainly not at stake. It's just, can Viv convince this fantasy medieval European society that coffee is good and they should buy it?
And the answer is yes, but also, how do you have money in a feudal society?
How do you have money?
Yeah, like, I guess the nobles and the merchants. But there's a whole section out there of peasants, Ben. They don't get paid shit. How are you going to corner that market?
So some liberties are taken, obviously.
Wait a minute. Is she a feudal lord? And she has, like, a coffee plantation that's supplying her shop.
Okay, so this is D&D. This is the Dungeons and Dragons medieval.
Is this
based on medieval society?
Is this the D&D campaign that you always wanted to play?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, you're like, I'm tired of adventuring. Can I just set up a shop? But then the DM is like, nah, you gotta go do this to get money, so sorry. You're going off to fight these religious zealots or whatever.
I have played a D&D campaign where I took my gold from every adventure and bought wheat fields. I bought every wheat field surrounding a city and raised the price of grain.
So you're the problem, is what you're saying. You're like, I know that you guys are going to be real hungry now that I took all your food supply and monopolized it, but, like, now you're going to have to pay a little more.
I established a monopoly, and I essentially just gouged an entire town.
Wow.
Until the DM made me stop.
And then you hired a racket. You hired some armed thugs to beat up anyone who's trying to ship grain into the city.
This is like, I play D&D the way you play MMOs. You know how you
went around punching everyone repeatedly?
No.
You're talking about you're mining stuff.
Yes.
And you're turning that stuff into things and selling it on the auction house and cornering the market.
I think this is a thing that both of us do. Whenever we get into, like, any kind of role play scenario, we turn into just unapologetic capitalists.
Yeah, by the way, if anyone's listening and you can suggest an MMO that isn't World of Warcraft that will allow me to just mine stuff and corner the market on copper and iron and silver and whatever ore, like, much appreciated. I do Warcraft, but it's like a monthly fee. I don't want to pay for my addiction.
So, yeah, no one does, buddy. But but Viv is not like us. She's a better person than us. She just wants to create a place where she can relax and
and create the perfect brew.
Yeah. As an orc barbarian...
Is she a horrible pain in the ass to her allies, and like eventually her allies have to curb stomp her and drag her through waist-high levels of shit?
I do not
literal
want to
shit.
rehash your old D&D campaigns.
We did enough of that on the street.
Yeah, if you want to hear Nate rant about everyone who has ever wronged him in a D&D campaign, please check us out on Twitch. But Viv is just sort of trying to create like a home for herself. She wants to get out of the adventuring game. She doesn't want to be defined by violence.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that in D&D. If you try and create a home, it will be razed to the ground in order to get you onto a quest line.
That's true. What Viv does is she reads up on this artifact that is supposed to bring good fortune. And she also has tried this exciting new gnomish drink called coffee.
I knew it had to be the gnomes.
Everything with machines, that's how they're going to get around the fact that, coffee requires exotic beans that don't grow in a European climate, and machinery and roasting facilities and such like to actually be a kind of like marketable restaurant product. Everything is gnomish.
Goddamn gnomes.
So Viv acquires this artifact.
They really just ruin everything.
That is supposed to bring good fortune, and she buys a place and she buries the artifact in it. And
what is the artifact? Do we know?
The artifact is called a Scalvert Stone.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like the artifact is called a blender, and it makes the best beverages. Okay. So it's an actual it's like a D&D artifact, like legit.
Yeah. And
okay.
This is the little rhyming couplet about it. Well nigh to Thaumic line, the Scalvert Stone afire draws the ring of fortune, aspect of heart's desire.
And in the darkness bind them.
Don't ever quote Lord of the Rings to me. I quote Lord of the Rings to you. It's pretty obvious to the reader early on that the stone is not what everybody thinks it is. It's worded such that it seems like it might bring generic good fortune, but it instead functions in such a way that it kind of like it brings you people like you. It just sort of draws the right people into your orbit.
I thought you were going to say it makes everyone else have bad fortune, so you look better by default or by comparison.
I told you.
Right. I'm on board.
There's nothing. This is the anti-horror. There's no darkness. Okay. Here. There's none whatsoever.
By the way, you are selling me on this book by telling me that right up front that I'm not going to get some really unpleasant shit dropped in my lap.
No. Not at all. So the first thing Viv does is she buys this piece of property that is an old rundown horse stable, and she needs to remodel it into a coffee shop. And she goes looking for a carpenter who can help her with that, and she finds a hobgoblin who, this is going to become kind of a theme of the book.
Isn't killed on sight?
Yeah, exactly. He's just treated disrespectfully. Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to work with him. He's good enough at what he does that he gets enough work to get by, but he's always alone. Nobody wants to associate with him.
Are most of the people in her party non-human, non-elf, non-dwarf then? They're like the outcasts?
Her adventuring party, her old adventuring party, no. They were all your standard dwarf, gnome, elf.
But now,
yes, she's going to collect a group of sort of misfits who are all like her, trying to not be defined by what they are, but by their skills and personalities. And that's what the Scalvert Stone is doing for her. It's helping her to attract those people into her sphere of orbit. And one of them is this hobgoblin. Another will be the succubus, who is actually quite the business manager. She is able to like set the prices and figure out like how they need to advertise this to get people in. And she'll also acquire a ratkin baker.
Ratkin? I don't even know what that is. I'm assuming it's like a rat person.
Yeah. In
Wow, these are some really like tolerant people.
yeah, it's they're almost all monster folk, and like in this world, monster folk are kind of tolerated, but not loved. With orcs being just on the barrier between monster and acceptable acceptable folk, I guess.
I see.
So like Viv,
Separate but equal, but some of us are more equal than others.
yeah, essentially.
I get you.
Yeah. So
But like now that they're opening up a coffee shop, like we gotta have that.
yeah. So one of the problems Viv is going to have, though, is there's a local criminal underbelly that requires each business pay them protection money.
Is it you?
Is it me? What?
After you bought those wheat fields, did you started like, oh, I can actually extort people?
I didn't need to extort anyone. I had all the wheat. The starvation did the extortion for me. I didn't threaten anyone. I just implied that if they didn't pay more for grain, you know, you're not going to have grain. That's the free market. That's not me.
And they didn't rise up and seize the means of production.
I mean, they could have tried. I was like level 10.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But you're saying that you did not, in fact, hire thugs to extort this coffee shop.
No, I am not the bad guy here. Okay.
I'm okay. All right. I'll bite. I'm willing to kind of give you the benefit of the doubt. You're just a humble businessman.
And in addition to that, there is a member of her adventuring party who she never got along with, who figures out that there's something up with that artifact she took. It was the last mission she went on with them. That was the only payment she wanted, and then she just took off after getting it. And so he's like, what's up with that stone? And he's going to make some trouble for her. The bulk of the book is just about Viv setting up a business, forming bonds with her coworkers, which is really her employees. But
how are these people fleshed out? Like, do you really care about and connect with these characters?
It turns into just a comfortable little workplace drama almost. And there's really not a lot of conflict between the characters. They all get along pretty much right off the bat.
In the sequel, she's going to become like the Starbucks CEO, and that's when like she'll lose her way. And
at a certain point, I'm going to tell you when we're going to get into spoilers.
Okay.
The book is brand new, so I think we're still in like spoiler territory here.
Right. You can't really spoil like Thrawn.
Yeah.
It's been 30 years.
I'm really trying to convince you to go out and read the book on this one. It is a short book. This is another point of favor for you.
That's another. Yeah, exactly. I hate reading.
It is just over 300 pages.
Okay.
It is real light read.
You like the characters. There's no surprise sexual assault.
No, God,
that just
no.
comes out of nowhere and ruins your whole goddamn day.
I will say there's, if anything, you will be disappointed by how little conflict there actually is.
Well, he promised us low stakes.
The stakes really are, is Viv's grand opening going to go well? Is this new...
And the answer is yes.
Is this new baked good that the Ratkin, whose name is Thimble, which is adorable, comes up with? Is he essentially invents biscotti, because his first creation is cinnamon roll. But that's very labor intensive because they need to be baked fresh. They don't keep very well. They get stale quickly. So he invents biscotti, which will keep better. And it's just little things like that. Like, how are they going to set up the thing? Like, they find a way to buy in ice to help refrigerate stuff. And then she gets the idea for iced coffee.
Oh my God, she does make the frappe.
She doesn't get a frappe yet. That might be in the sequel.
No? Okay.
We never get a frappuccino.
And then the sequel will be like, can she set up a coffee shop across from her coffee shop and still make huge profits? Can she then set up a third one 2 blocks down? Can she put a fourth one in the middle of the market?
But she also figures out like how to incorporate live music into this shop. She figures out like,
oh my God, is there a bard?
Yeah, there is.
Is he horribly obnoxious and you want to punch him in the face?
No, he's actually very mild-mannered and kind of shy and unaware of how
Oh my god.
awesome he actually is.
Oh my god. And so he takes off his glasses and he gels his hair one way, and there you go. He becomes the person he was always meant to be.
It's just nice. Like, Viv hits it off with all these people. They go the extra mile for her because she's the first one who was willing to give them a chance at actually using their skills to build something. And she totally accepts them without any reservation because she believes in the power of the stone. And they enjoy working for her because she gives them the freedom to express their own ideas. Like, she lets the succubus plan menus and set prices and arrange like special offers and stuff. She lets the hobgoblin have a huge amount of input on what the building should look like and what should go where. The ratkin baker is allowed to try out whatever weird stuff he wants to try out. She's just really like the coolest boss, and everybody loves working there.
And they become kind of a family.
Yeah, they do.
Why are our D&D campaigns not this, like, friendly and nice, Ben?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to play D&D as a player in a long time. I think maybe I have pent-up frustrations that come out during roleplay. I think maybe in my day-to-day life, I'm the victim of capitalism. And in my fantasy life, I'm the capitalist. And now there's going to be some changes. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I really enjoy this book, but I'm still a horror fan at heart. I think at this point I'm going to say spoiler territory.
Oh my god. Everyone cover your ears. Go read the book and come back.
I don't really know that the book is super spoilable, but there is a little bit of tension in the book. There are a few things that do need to be resolved. The conflict with the organized crime, the conflict with your former party member. And I will say there might be a little bit of a romance going on. So
is it the succubus, Ben?
I'm not, that's spoiler territory.
Oh my
Nate.
god.
So we're going to have to...
I'm going to guess no, because you just gave me all that lecture. But if I go read this, and it's yes, I'm coming for you, Ben.
Well, it is yes, but...
I'd ship it.
You would ship it, and you do ship it.
Yeah.
And it's cute. It's not a horny thing like you're thinking of. It's a cute...
That's what I'll do for another $5.
Okay, no, don't. You would ruin it. You would ruin
I'll
this.
ruin everything.
Okay.
Pay me $5 and I won't do it.
Spoiler territory. I'm going to give away some of the end bits, or at least tell you which things are big important things and which things aren't. So
Snape kills Dumbledore.
So Viv and the Succubus.
Nice.
I like the romance. It is a very slow build. They definitely, I would say, learn to trust one another. They come to trust one another pretty deeply. And then it slowly turns into romance.
Oh my god.
There is never more than a kiss exchanged on the page.
I assume that's like the payoff towards the end.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's handled really well.
Is there any, second act misunderstanding between them that could easily be resolved, but for the sake of drama, it is not until closer to the end?
No, it doesn't do anything like that. There is a little bit of Viv not seeing what's right in front of her. Tandria has obviously fallen for Viv long before Viv realizes it, I think. And part of Viv's problem is, she obviously doesn't want to make assumptions. She doesn't want to screw up a good thing either. And Viv's very distracted with her work, legitimately. There's a lot of hiccups about, people don't even know what coffee is or why they should want it. And when she tries to...
because it's delicious and it will give you so much fucking energy.
And when she tries to explain it to them, they're like, bean water, you say. And So she has to give out free samples and stuff to get people into it. She has to figure out.
Do you think that the guy who wrote this either worked at, owns, or wants to own a coffee shop?
He definitely knows a lot about the business of coffee shops and how all the various things are made and what you need to run a coffee shop.
I hope he has a coffee shop. Or if that's what he wants, I hope that he gets it then.
Do you remember the game Torchlight?
I remember that it's in my Steam library, and I don't think I ever played it.
He worked on it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Game developer turned audiobook narrator turned author.
So does he narrate his own audiobook?
I believe so, but I read the book.
God.
I didn't listen to the audiobook.
I'm kind of sold on this. Because I have like 3 Audible credits, and I'm like, I need to get another Audible book.
Yeah, you should. You should check it out. I think I'd imagine, since he's an audiobook narrator, that he would just do his own book, but I don't know anything about the audiobook production, but I know there is an audiobook.
Well, ask him for some pointers, because you're going to need that.
Did you ask anybody for pointers on how to write an erotic romance novel?
I don't need pointers, Ben.
Well,
I got the only pointer I need right here.
I'll put as much effort into reading it as you did into writing it.
Okay, deal.
So, I can honestly tell you, part of the reason we're getting into spoiler territory is the few conflicts there are. I think you've got to be in the mood for this kind of book. I read some other reviews. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. That right. I'll acknowledge that's probably on the generous side, because I was just really in the mood for a book like this, and it just struck a chord with me because I secretly also would love to retire to a coffee shop.
Yeah, I can see that.
It just really jived with me. So there is a part where this is probably a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. I liked it, and is it the most well-written thing in the world? I think it is exactly what it tells you it is. And if you go in wanting something different, you're probably not going to get it. If you're really looking for a conflict, there really isn't much. The organized crime thing is solved by Viv agreeing to provide the matriarchal old lady who runs the organized crime syndicate. She provides her a monthly payment of cinnamon rolls.
When she's a high enough level, she could just slaughter all of them.
Well, because that's the thing that they're building up to is Viv going to fight this organized crime syndicate? Because she could, and her old adventuring party even gets called in, and her old adventuring party is a team of badasses who are like, what? Okay, so do you want us to kill her or what?
Like level 12 or something?
Yeah. There's this like gnome that's with them that...
Goddamn gnome.
She's like a stabby gnome who just wants to stab everybody. And she's like,
so what else is new?
I could take care of this problem
gnomes.
for you.
Yeah, and also cause all the problems too, gnome.
You do remember I play a gnome all the time.
Oh, I remember, Ben. I fucking remember.
I didn't cause problems. I solved problems.
Yeah.
Sometimes before they started.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the gnome doesn't
she
follow
doesn't...
their base instincts and stab an old woman.
Yes. I don't know. I think maybe that's just how I play gnomes. But no, they resolve it peacefully. It winds up being a total non-issue. I read some reviews that didn't like that. I could see how you might not like that, because we're still left with the problem of like, there is an organized crime unit in the town still extorting everyone else for protection money, but I guess...
Is she going to give cinnamon rolls for everyone else?
No, she doesn't really solve that problem for everyone else. She's just kind of like, whatever.
So she could solve the problem, but she chooses not to.
We still have some problems there.
So the only thing needed for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do nothing.
They gave cinnamon rolls.
Are they going to have poison from the gnome? Who probably makes poison in their spare time, I'm guessing, because they're a gnome.
The organized crime subplot is resolved in the cute way of the cinnamon rolls, and you're not supposed to think too hard about it.
And they high five afterwards, they become best friends.
Kind of, yeah. She actually stops by the shop.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's real chill. The whole book is real chill.
Nice shop you have here. Would be a shame if... Oh, sorry, that's...
No, it would be a genuine shame if anything were to happen to it. Yeah. Never let anything happen to it. There is a final conflict, which I don't think we need to get into in this book. I'll just say it's related to the business. It's related to her
There is a Starbucks out there.
Her former party member.
Oh. He wants to be Joe Starbucks.
He wants the stone. He figures out what she took, what it's supposed to do, and he wants it. And he's trying to steal it.
Bro. We had an agreement. We all got to pick dibs. I got dibs on the stone.
Yeah, and the rest of her party is totally cool with it. But this guy is just like, nah, I'm not cool with it.
Well, you didn't speak now or forever hold your peace when I took it. So, like,
he's a dick.
Chode. Yeah.
He's a dick. So, ultimately, the final conflict is going to come down to... Why is
there a dick in this party? Oh, that's right, D&D. I got you. It's always at least one.
It's going to finally come down to... Is the bond Viv has real? Is the shop something she built? Or is it all magic? Is it all the stone? So that's... she does what Fry does in Futurama when he asks, is it the worms making me really attractive or is it me? And Viv gets rid of the stone. I'm just going to say that question has to be answered. And as I'm telling you, it is a very chill, very happy book. You could probably guess.
Yes.
Yeah, the answer is...
It was the stone all along,
no.
And her life falls apart as soon as she gets rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not. Obviously, there's a happy ending. And like I said, there's a bit of romance. She does eventually figure out that Tandri is into her and that she has fallen for Tandri as well.
Oh my god.
And it ends on a really happy note of Viv. I'm trying to decide if I want to spoil it. I don't think I do. I'm just going to say it ends on a really, really happy note. It's really cute and...
Rocks fall, everybody dies.
Rocks fall, everybody dies. No, I'm just going to say it ends on a really cute note. And if he wrote another book where you just spent more time with these characters, I'd probably be fine with it. It really is just a slice of life. Everyone can relate to it probably. Very uplifting, very chill, easy read. If you got a lot of stress in your life right now and you don't need more stress in your downtime, I would solidly recommend this book.
Okay.
If perhaps you are changing jobs and moving at the same time.
Oh man, I probably shouldn't have suggested House of Leaves. Or, whoops. Nah, you'll be fine, right?
Yeah, no, I'm a big tough horror man, so I don't need books like this. But yeah, it's not a long book, and this isn't a long episode. This is just kind of my wholehearted recommendation that you should read this.
If I go and read this, and I probably will because you mentioned John Bierce's name, and...
and you just have a man crush?
Well, he might be listening to this, so I'm not going to say anything, but, like, I really liked his book. It was my favorite book of last year, and if he's recommending this book, I'm willing to give it a shot. And if you're telling me it's not a depressing sad fest, you know, that sounds like right up my alley. So if I go read this, do you want to record like a short, like probably like 10-minute episode after I finish it?
If you want.
Just release it as like a bonus episode later on, you know.
Or I could get it all recorded really quickly and just add it to this episode. Perhaps right here. Words about books. Addendum. I was apparently successful in convincing Nate to read this book because Nate has read this book now, and we decided since I haven't edited the episode yet, we would get back on the mic and we would get Nate's thoughts as a man who has now read the book?
Oh my god. It took me 4 days. I started on the 19th and I ended on the 23rd.
And you actually listened to the audiobook, so you got to experience Travis Baldree's read through.
Yeah, he's got you beat in terms of voice, Ben. I'm sorry. He's just better at it.
I would hope so. People pay him to do it.
Yeah, he did the recording on his own audiobook, and he did a really good job.
Does he do voices?
He does.
Okay. That's one thing I'm deeply insecure about. I think I could do it.
Well,
but
you're going to have to do it.
I know. I get very in my head about that.
Well, you can always apply filters.
I can always apply filters. Oh, that would sound great. What is it? Can you give me like an impression of what some of the voices sound like?
No, absolutely not. I don't have to do it.
Tell me what Viv sounds like.
Sounds like Travis Baldree doing an impression of Viv.
Give me your best Tandri.
No.
Is it Tandri now that you know how it's pronounced?
Yes.
Okay.
Why, is it spelled weird?
No, it just could have been Tandri. I never know.
Yeah, it's Tandri and Viv.
I'm from Pennsylvania, so.
And you're right. I definitely don't remember most. I guess Cal is the hobgoblin. It's short for Calamity. I don't remember the name of the bard. I don't remember the name of the ratkin. Thimble, that's right.
I don't remember the name of the bard. The bard, I've been simmering on the book now for about a week since we recorded, and I will say the bard was kind of like an unnecessary addition to the book. It didn't take away anything, but it was a weird spot to introduce like a main employee of the
it was strange because he wasn't super important.
No, he didn't do a lot.
He did invent rock and roll though.
It's implied he invented rock and roll. And possibly the electric guitar.
He invented the electric guitar, rock and roll, and then they invented cinnamon rolls, biscotti, iced coffee. They did a lot of work here. They invented a lot of things in the span of like a month or two.
Well, it seemed like Thimble had cinnamon rolls in his back pocket. Biscotti was on the spot.
And croissants. Or crescents, I guess. They call them crescents, that's right.
Do you want to tell the audience about the time a chocolate croissant nearly killed you?
Yeah, I was already having stomach trouble. I think that was the night, I couldn't sleep. It was really bad. I took every medicine for the stomach in my cabinet, and also baking soda. I took, 3 different med classes, and baking soda, and an extra dose of one of those medications. It didn't simmer down till, 5 o'clock. In the morning.
That's the shotgun approach to medical treatment that I've always taken, and I don't even have a degree.
Yeah.
I'll have one of everything, please.
Yeah, I went to school for that.
More medicine, more healing.
And then I decided to eat a chocolate croissant, and chocolate, not very good for stomach acid, and I was not a happy camper. I was not.
Do you remember why you ate a chocolate croissant?
Because it sounded delicious, and also, I believe, we had just finished reading The Fold.
Yep.
Peter Klein's.
That
main
was awesome.
character has, a love, a romantic...
We bitched. Peter Klein's, if you're listening, we bitched about The Fold for hours and hours and hours. And then The Fold inspired Nate to eat a chocolate croissant that was just loaded with all the karma you could possibly have asked for.
You got me, Peter.
It was like you reached through time and space to punch Nate in the stomach. Oh, golly. But yeah, so it sounds like the audiobook was a good call.
Yeah.
How produced was it? Was there music and stuff, or just him talking?
It was him talking. But he did a good
not
job at talking.
Yeah.
And hold on, let me.
Oh, you got notes?
After reading the book, I realized that Nathaniel Creed, was the problem, and I should not have assumed that a succubus would be interested in what succubi normally do. And I severely and deeply apologize for any offense that I may have caused in my previous statements.
I don't know if that apology is going to get you uncanceled by the succubus community for doing what they do. I'm sorry I assumed a succubus would do what succubus do. I don't know if you've really challenged your assumptions or beliefs there. I think you may still have a subtle implicit bias.
I enjoyed the romance. I enjoyed the characters. I did like Tandri a lot. He's probably my favorite character.
I liked all the characters, I will say.
That or Cal, because, you know.
I was going to say, I identify most with Cal. I respect Cal's energy.
You identified with his energy.
I identify with Cal's energy. Yep. That's a good bean water. No, I like Cal. He's very understated. He's very, he sees a lot, but he doesn't feel the need to say a lot. And I know I have a podcast where I talk for hours and hours a month, but in real life I say,
nothing.
That's not even true.
You don't even respond to your emails.
I don't respond to my fucking emails, but yeah, no, I do. I have a select group of people I talk to quite a bit, and then everybody else I don't talk to very much. But I like that about Cal. So I guess I have some specific questions for you.
Okay.
What is your rating of the book?
I don't know yet. 4.5 stars. I can't decide which way to lean.
But you wouldn't go below 4.
Right.
So is that a solid recommendation?
That is a solid recommendation.
Okay. Second question.
I wish I had a fantasy coffee shop that generated money.
I wish I had a side project that generated revenue.
Yeah.
Instead of just hemorrhaging money
Living
on
the
mics
dream.
and audio interfaces and so the second question is, how long did it take before you were absolutely certain I hadn't tricked you? And that this wasn't going to turn into some horrible murder fest.
No, I figured it wasn't going to. I was pretty confident there wasn't going to be something awful in there.
Viv goes on a murder rampage covered in the blood of Tandri.
Yeah. Doesn't even use her sword. She's just biting people's heads off. Punching people, ripping into their rib cages. Yeah, no, the conflict with the Madrigal. Let's go to that. That
was going to be my third question.
Yeah, so will she go back to her violent ways? And I was shocked that they wrapped that up halfway through the book, I think. 2/3?
Halfway to 2/3, yeah.
Where she's like, well, I can't bring myself to pay this mob boss. And they're like, we can work out a deal, and done. And I think, for sure, she shouldn't have solved that with violence. But my big problem was the big problem you had, except it's worse than how you described it, because the Madrigal, they own all of the guards in town. And they're extorting everyone.
Yeah.
And all I needed, if they were going to go this exact route with this book, all I needed was, and I mentioned this to you, you needed to show that the Madrigal gives back. Yeah, they're extorting us, but, they have this orphanage. They take care of the people who aren't taken care of. Something like that, where it's okay, the Madrigal doesn't need to be violently dismembered.
No, I think that's a really good point, and I did say when I gave it 5 stars, that's kind of an emotional reaction, 5 stars. The Madrigal, having chewed on it a little bit, is probably the weakest part of the book. And I said to you privately, I think it's kind of a cop-out with the Madrigal. Like,
I think he tried to show, like, oh, they're not a completely horrible person, because he helps rebuild, and
yeah,
she helps
she.
rebuild. Yeah, I
I
guess I can drop that the Madrigal is in fact a woman.
an elderly woman.
Yes.
The least threatening member of society is actually the most threatening member. What a twist.
She
But
needs
no.
you to change her ostomy bag.
Okay, I wasn't going to go that far. No. What I was going to say is I very often in stories, like I have this with like movies I like where, and I've said this before when I was talking about King Arthur stories. There's always a point in King Arthur stories where Lancelot and Guinevere are going to cross the line and they both don't want to, and it's going to lead to like Arthur's death and everything, and you're like, God, I wonder if this time they could just not. and Travis Baldree delivers on that wish of, what if we could just not? Like, what if the villain could just realize, like, this is not the right thing. This doesn't need to happen. And so that was what happened. The Madrigal is just like, you know what? I'm not going to do this today. And it's like, oh, that was nice. At the same time, it's like you get one of those. I do think you're right that would have been a better way to handle it, was to show that she is extorting money from people, but that money isn't just like pure greedy profit for her.
She once was an orphan, and now she wants to make sure that the orphans are all taken care of.
Yeah.
The orphans had all these parents that kept going on quests, but they were too low level and they kept dying.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever plans to continue this world, but like, it could be retconned still. I mean, like, we could still have the Madrigal like be the lesser of several evils, maybe. Like, she does actually protect people from worse. Yeah, it was weak. No two ways around that. I think your solution is better. I think it's a short book. He definitely had the page time to fix it. Probably could have done a little more with that. I think that's a fair criticism. So I guess then the next question would be, there is one other point of conflict in the book with her former party member.
Yeah, that asshole.
How did you feel about that arc?
Well, I remember when I was listening to it this morning, and he was being a gigantic asshole. And then he burns down the tavern. Spoilers. Burns down the cafe. And I texted you. I was like, please tell me this isn't another Fire Kids where the villain just gets away with it. Like, please tell me someone gets this guy. He gets his comeuppance in the end. And yeah, the epilogue is him getting trapped by the Madrigal's soldiers and the dire cat that hangs around the cafe.
Yep.
And so I felt like he got his.
I was going to say, was that good enough for you? Because I could see that also being not the best payoff.
It shouldn't have been Viv. I don't think. Because again, she shouldn't return. Like, the story is her being something more than a bloodthirsty warrior, right?
No, it had to be his own hubris, but
Yeah.
like, there wasn't time to show. I guess he felt like there wasn't time to devote to showing that the guy, the Scalvert Stone, attracted other traitorous thief types to him. That should have been the payoff.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the payoff is he goes thinking that, this is going to bring me fortune, this is going to bring me luck, when in reality it just keeps drawing all these assholes to him, and he's like destitute, and he's lost all of his money, and also a kidney. I don't know. Like, he's thinking that he got the better of her, and it turns out that, like, because he's an asshole, the stone attracts other assholes, which is what was implied would happen. And definitely, I think the epilogue should have shown him getting his. He got his. It was fine, but I think it could have been better if it was like, yeah, his downfall came because he stole the stone.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that needed it was okay. It needed just a little bit of tuning to be great. Like by the end, we kind of like Lack, and we definitely like the dire house cat. So why would they be the ones that are attracted to him?
Right.
Like, is that the Scalvard Stone attracting other similar people? But it shouldn't be, because they're not backstabbing. Like, Lack is not the most morally sound guy, but he obviously has a code. He disciplines that guy who's mean to Tandri.
God, I want to call him a simp, but
the simp. He's not a. I don't know. I guess I don't know much about simp culture. Are they aggressive and
I don't know. Incel. That's the word for it.
Yeah.
An aggressive incel is like, hey.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Why don't you just want to hang out with me more, preferably without clothing? Like, why don't you want to be with me? I'm a nice guy.
You're a succubus. I'm in possession of a penis. What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but Lack is, he has that moment where he's like, look, I honestly don't like things to go violent. Like, that's a failure on my part. And then that guy says something like, yeah, get him a body bag, Johnny. And he's like, shut the fuck up.
Sure would be a shame if your tavern burned down. He's like, get the fuck out of
here. Yeah. And Lack is like, can somebody shut this asshole up? Like, I'm honestly trying to resolve this peacefully, and you're antagonizing them. Yeah. Those were little things that, like, the book is still good, but I think that could have taken it to, like, great if that was, like, real sharp and tidy. Like, those setups really paid off. The exact, like, they're set up and they do pay off, but they could have paid off just a little bit better with a little bit of tweaking. But that's something that's so easy to see.
Right, in hindsight.
Yeah, as I'm reading a book someone else is working on.
After Travis Baldree did all the heavy lifting and writing this 300-plus page book, that we can come along and be like, let me make a 2 half-page suggestions that you could do it differently.
Which is the only thing we ever do.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're good writers with a capital R.
I mean, that is the entire basis of our podcast, and I've read your hate mail.
Yeah, I think I'd probably give it 5 stars.
Because I've gilded you now.
No, 5 stars. I mean, 5 stars doesn't mean it's like perfect, but it means it's a high recommendation, very well written, and very enjoyable. I give it 5 stars.
I do want to start a conversation with the audience of the podcast. I don't know where the best place is to do that, but I'm honestly curious about ratings. Like, this book and Axiom's End really got me thinking about...
You're welcome.
I like it versus is it good? And I really want to figure out, like, how do I tailor my ratings to be of the most use to people? Do you care about my emotional reaction to a book, or do you just care about, like, the technical aspects? It's tough to balance.
Yes, that's the answer.
Anything else you would want to add that I haven't prompted you to talk about?
Yeah, go read it or listen to it. It's like a 6.5 hour audiobook.
I can confirm that the book is well written. It's a nice looking book too. I don't know if that matters to people, but it looks good on a shelf, is what I'm saying. Like, nice cover art.
Are you saying book. You're going to be taking this with you when you move to a different house?
I am. That is one of the books that's going to make it.
One of the many, many pounds of books.
I've got a box of... I guess I'll just add this. Why not? I've got a box of Star Wars Expanded Universe books that I do not want.
Oh my god.
I thought I'd actually sold them already.
I thought so too, because you mentioned that you did.
The second-hand store didn't want them. End of addendum. Travis Baldree, if you listen to this episode, I think you did an amazing job. I really like it. And also, I don't know who did the art, but this is one of the best covers I've ever seen. Anything you want to talk about, Mr. Nathaniel?
No, because you won't let me talk about our D&D campaign, so we should end it here. Twitter us at twitter.twitter.wabpod.
Unironically, you do the this is your monthly. You have to do the plugs to make sure you remember what they are.
All right, our Twitter handle is at WABpod. Our Twitch, which we stream every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as randomly whenever Ben feels like it, is twitch.tv/wordsaboutbooks. Our Instagram handle, which is actually getting some traction, is Words About Books Podcast. For additional show notes and content, oh, this is the one I always have the hardest time with because I never go over there. It's like, blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja? Ninja?